I was trying to think of why you people are here, and I'm trying to think of what relevance I could bring to the discussion today. And my picture's not in the brochure, and they finally gave me a red shirt. So I kind of thought, well, am I a throw-in? Mike's the big speaker tonight. Am I the throw-in guy, the Sudbury guy? But I've played pretty well at every level. When they say I played in the NHL, I played 6 games, and then I ran in with the manager of the team there, Ren Blair. We had a disagreement, and he won. And I've coached at every level. I've coached. I was at Notre Dame, and we've during my tenure at Notre Dame, and since then, we've had over 70 players that have gone to that school that played in the NHL, and so. You could obviously say that we've had a fair amount of success. I was trying to think, though, what is relevant? You're here. Somebody obviously influenced you to want to be part of it. It's 30 degrees out there. We're into a heat wave, and here you are giving up your time to help young kids get better or to develop. And worse than that, I thought, why am I here? And I thought, Bob Ellen kind of twisted my arm and said, Bear, you should say something. So why am I here? I guess I was influenced too. I was a 10-year-old kid walking down the street and going to a movie. That's when, for 25 cents, you could pay 15 cents to go to the show and 10 cents for popcorn and pop. And a fellow said, why don't you play hockey? And I moved on to a few coaches who influenced me, but the biggest thing was Father David Bauer. Father Bauer, I was destined to go and play with Toronto Marlies. And Father Bauer called me and said, we'd like you to come out and play with St. Lakes. And of course, I have a buddy, Terry O'Malley. He said, if I had gone to Turk Broda, he would have made me into a goon. And my buddy O'Malley says, Bear, you were always a goon. So the coach, what happens, the influence that you people have over the kids that you're working with is phenomenal. And I don't know whether we've just got coaches, managers, executives here, but your organization has so much influence over the kids that you're working with, the boys and the girls. And I was thinking, what's the biggest influence? We've talked about elite hockey, and yeah, I've worked with a number of elite kids, but did we have an impact at Notre Dame on the kids that weren't elite? And in which way? And so I guess I really look at, as much as anything, you want to have players develop to their full potential. You really want to help people become better citizens in the game of life. You more likely have more impact on those kids than the elite athletes. Wendell Clark that I coached, he would have been Wendell Clark without me. There might have been things that I did to help him, but Wendell Clark would have grown to be the player that he became. Rod Brindamore, same thing. Rod Brindamore would have been the NHL player, international player that he has been. We helped along the way. But what about the other kids, the ones that aren't the elite players? What do we do with them? And so I guess if I really look at Notre Dame, and I've talked about the culture of our program, and I was thinking about this, how can I be relevant with you people? And I guess I would say each organization can have your identical or your specific culture as to how you want your teams, your players to perform. How you want your coaches. We did some interviews this year with coaches for a division up here, and we really tried to establish why somebody should be a coach. What qualities did we want them to have? And so I think if you look at the culture of your organization, I think you can establish a culture. A lot of the things that you would have would be the same from organization to organization, but at Notre Dame, we wanted to intimidate teams. Not by being goons. What do we want? We said our culture was, whenever you play a Notre Dame Hound, you know that they're going to be skating as hard as possible. Their work ethic is going to be without doubt. They're going to skate as hard onto the ice as they do off the ice. Scrums, forget the scrums. You know, our players, we want you to be disciplined, back off out of the scrums. Actually, we had a junior A game when I was going to get one of their players, you know, you line up, now these stage fights. You don't have that yet, Rebecca. They have the stage fights, and this one guy dropped the gloves, but threw a stick down on our player, calmly with his stick, shoved the stick back to the player, and stood there ready to get the face off, which they got their 5 minutes or the game misconduct. But so there's an on-ice culture that you can have within your organization. Here's how we want our teams to play. Within the whole organization, you might need somebody to monitor that, but there can be an on-ice culture, just as there is an off-ice culture. Language. You know, you get to a certain level, Mike, I don't imagine the teams you played on had any big swearing or cussing or... Well, I was the first coach hired with the Wolves, and the first coach fired, as I say. But one of the biggest things, it's funny, the things that you do, you don't know the impact you have, but I stopped the bus I had a call from one of the former player, and he said, you know, Barry, you remember, one of the things I remember is you stopped the bus on the way down to one of the road trips, and you said, hold on, you know, we don't have to be cussing like this. You know, we don't have to be swearing. Everything doesn't have to be F this and F that. And he said, always remember that, because it had a role as to how I've worked with the kids that I have taught. And so off-ice culture, language, respect. You know, how do I handle other teams? You talked about referees. What's my relationship with referees? Mine wasn't very good. But, so there's a number of things that you can have which you demand. Dress code. You can have a culture there that says, here's how our teams are going to be at home, on the road. And so I can have a total culture where everybody knows that your team, the team from Timmins are coming in, here's what they're going to do. Right throughout the organization, Now you might have to, obviously have to set goals, but those culture that you establish will have such an impact on the people in your organization which develops the fun out of the game. And so as much as anything, are you developing elite players, or are you developing more coaches and more volunteers for down the road? Because not that many of your players are going to go on to high-level positions in the game. I've been very lucky to be involved with so many that have played in the NHL, but I take pride in the fact that Brad Richards is involved in so many charitable organizations and does so much charity work that to me, he, Brindamore, James Patrick, these are guys that are solid citizens and really exemplify what you want from individuals that are playing the game. And so I guess to me the biggest thing that I could say is, to be a relevance is, you know, we keep thinking of all the elite aspects of the game, but there's so much more and so much more impact that you have on people that aren't at that level. And so, and by the way, if any of you have any questions about the background or my involvement, don't hesitate to ask. I guess the other thing I think you could do with the culture is, what about education? You know, I think that everybody here can have an education requirement, you know, for your teams. You could have the OHL has, or the CHL has an academic advisor. You know, kids that are playing hockey are so geared up. When my grandson was 10, sat on my bed and, Gramps, I'm going to go and I'm going to play here for the Bantams. I'm going to play here at Midget. I'm going to play Junior A. I'm going to play like you did in the international hockey, and then I'm going to play in the NHL. Well, he could hardly skate, but that was his dream. But so we can use hockey to help kids fulfill their dreams in other areas, to change their dreams. My grandson finally realized, hey, I'm not going to be I'm not going to play hockey at a higher level. He went out to Notre Dame this year and didn't make a team. But so now he's realized his other dreams, and he's now got into drama. Hopefully he'll be a movie star and look after his gramps. But so there can be an academic component that you shouldn't forget about, in my mind, when you're dealing with your teams. One other thing that I guess at Notre Dame I'm talking about that we really believe was that play other sports. You know that there are so many kids now that are so tied up in summer ice hockey. And Rod Brindamore would say a highlight of his Notre Dame experience was that he was a defensive end on a championship football team. And did playing football help him become a stronger, tougher-minded individual? Yeah. Is it better to play soccer in the summer than to go to hockey schools all year? In my mind, it is. I think that's part of the reason that there's saturation that occurs with kids, and they reach a point where they're saying, I've had enough of the game. I've had enough of it. And so I think it's important that we encourage the kids to get involved in other sports. And we really found, actually, kids that played soccer, rugby, that it toughened them up. It toughened them up for the game of hockey because you know the contact. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I just wanted to say, if I put Wendell Clark over here, and do you remember the Hound Line? Any of you remember the Hound Line? You don't? Courtnall and Gary Lehman. The three of them are going to put over here Brindamore. Remember James Patrick? James Patrick, Curtis Joseph. They're all Hounds. They had to make a choice. These three here, they decided to go and play major junior hockey. These three decided to go U.S. colleges. They made the choice. These three have done pretty well, and these three have done pretty well. The only thing is that Notre Dame, we encouraged people to follow the academic route. And the reason we did that was because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to transpire down the road. We also wanted you to keep stimulating the brain. We want you to keep thinking in terms of how high you can go academically, achieve academic goals. And I think the advantages, I was talking to Mike about the academic goals that they have in the OHL or the CHL. I've actually refer to them kind of as the Notre Dame rule, because at Notre Dame, they didn't really have the greatest rules before, about 30 years ago. But because a lot of our players that were talented chose to go the college route, the major juniors decided to put very, very good academic policies there. And now their policies are fantastic. But I guess I would just say, if you have elite athletes, that's a choice that has to be made between the two of them. And I know that we've always encouraged our players to go the academic way, but obviously, as you say, you can't knock the way that these other people have gone in major junior. There's more of a tendency now too for the people to go and play major junior because of the academic goals that they have, or policies they have. So I don't really have anything else to say. I just wonder if you have any questions at all. Yeah. If not, I commend you for being here. I really do. I was talking to a couple of people from Oshawa, and they're heading back tonight, and I'm going to be heading very shortly to my cottage up in Manitoulin Island too. So thanks a lot for having me.